Have you ever tried to cheat death? Our hero today did try, but the question is, did he succeed? Let's find out. Our movie starts with Alex, who is preparing for a flight to Paris with a group of his school friends. His mother confirms the flight time, and they're going to be driven by his friend George's father tomorrow at 3:30. While they're talking, Alex's mother tries to tear off the tag on the suitcase, but Alex stops her, saying it brings bad luck. She ignores him and tears it anyway, and she shouldn't have done that. They go on with their day, but while Alex is sleeping, he hears someone calling him. He wakes up and his eyes fall on the name Tiffany written on the fan. We also see his watch showing an error. They head to the airport the next day with friends Krista, Alex, and the rest of the group, along with their teacher and the French trip supervisor. Alex is stopped by a strange man from a religious group holding a poster that says death is not the end. Alex continues on, ignoring him. But strange things start to happen. He sees words on the flight board that seem to warn him not to board the plane. Still, he ignores the signs and goes on. They're waiting for the flight, and Alex is standing nervously. His close friend advises him to go to the bathroom. There, Alex hears a song playing whose lyrics warn him not to board the flight and say something like, "Watch out, the plane will crash." Still, he ignores the warnings, boards the plane, and sits down. Weird things increase once he turns on the air vent and sees the plane's levers. A girl named Benny asks him to switch seats with her so she can sit with her friend. Alex's friend warns him from afar, but Alex doesn't refuse and ends up sitting beside his friend. Then more strange things. He notices a screw in the seat ahead of him is loose, and he witnesses unsettling events. The plane takes off, and everyone celebrates the smooth takeoff, but that's when the terror begins. The plane starts shaking. Passengers panic. Then, suddenly, the shaking worsens. The plane suffers major malfunctions. Oxygen masks drop. People put them on. Suddenly, an explosion splits the plane. Passengers are sucked out. Alex sees a massive explosion that kills everyone on board, including himself. Then, he wakes up. Benny is next to him, asking to switch seats just like before. He looks and sees his friend John warning him again. He goes to the same seat, sees the same broken screw. It's real. He panics and starts yelling that the plane will crash. His friends try to calm him down, but he refuses. A fight breaks out. The crew removes them from the plane right before takeoff. Their teacher and Clear also exit the plane at the last second. The plane takes off without them, and then explodes mid-air, just like in Alex's vision. Everyone is in shock. They look at Alex in silence, as if he's a sorcerer or psychic. Of course, investigations begin right away, because we learn that there were no other survivors from the flight except them. They start interrogating the group, and they especially focus on Alex. He tells them about the strange vision he had, but they're suspicious and think he may have taken drugs or something. He insists it was a vision just before the accident. We learn that Joe's brother, Alex's friend, was one of the victims. Their families finally come to see them. We learn that Tiffany is now alone. They take her along. That night, the news talks about what happened. They say how lucky those who disembarked before the crash were. It was just minutes before the tragedy. 39 days pass, and there is a public memorial for the plane crash victims. The event is full of people staring at Alex. Some are afraid, others are angry. There's even a confrontation between Alex and one of his classmates. Another classmate thinks Alex can see the future and tries to ask him if he's going to die, and whether he should confess his love to someone or not. Alex says, "I'm not a fortune teller." He meets his teacher, but she avoids him and seems scared of him. He meets his friend again and promises they'll go on a trip once all of this is over, just like they used to do as kids. Clear gives Alex a flower and thanks him for saving her life. That night, we see Joe in the bathroom. A strong wind blows through the window, so he shuts it. While he's using the bathroom, water starts to drip. Meanwhile, Alex is at home, surrounded by papers and research trying to understand what happened. While he's working, he's looking at Tiffany's photo. On the other side, Joe is shaving and cuts himself. Water is leaking toward him, but he doesn't notice. An owl appears outside Alex's window. He throws a book at it, and the book hits the fan and gets shredded. One piece of paper flies to Alex's leg. On it is Joe's name. That's when he runs to call him. We see Joe gathering his clothes. The water moves toward him, and he slips. He grabs the sink handle, and suddenly a rope wire wraps around his neck. He falls, and no one hears him. He struggles to reach scissors to free himself but fails, and dies. The water then mysteriously retreats. Alex arrives and sees police around George's house, Joe's place. George's father tells Alex that Joe killed himself from the guilt he felt. But Alex insists it wasn't suicide, because Joe had just talked about going on a picnic after all of this, like they used to as kids. The next day, Alex visits Tiffany. He asks her why she was in front of Joe's house. She says she knows Joe didn't kill himself, and that she was there because she cared about him and feared the police might arrest Alex. They share memories from 4 years ago. Alex tells her he feels like death is chasing them. They agree to go to the morgue where Joe's body is. They sneak in and see Joe. His hand moves because of a tube. They're startled by the mortician, who tells them to leave. Before they do, he tells them the cause of death. Joe was strangled by wires, and it wasn't suicide. He tells them that death is like a design. Alex asks him, can we cheat death if we change the design? The mortician tells Alex that he did cheat death when he avoided the plane, and now death is following him. Death doesn't like to be cheated, he warns. He tells them, see you soon. They go to sit at a cafe and discuss the strange things and the signs Alex sees before someone dies. While they're talking, Alex sees the reflection of a bus in the glass in front of them. Just then, their angry friend passes by, spinning his car around. Coincidentally, another friend on a bike is in front of him. The cyclist survives and gets off the bike to fight with him. The girlfriend says she wants to break up with him and live her life away from all this fear of death. As she crosses the street, a speeding bus comes out of nowhere and hits her. She dies instantly. Alex is shocked and refuses to respond to Clear. While watching TV, he sees a diagram showing what happened on the night of the plane explosion. He sees the seating chart and realizes whose turn is next based on the dream he had. He figures out it's the teacher's turn. At night, the teacher is crying to her friend, saying she can't stay in this town anymore and that she's traveling. As she speaks, she sees Alex outside her house and calls the police, who immediately arrest him. During interrogation, he tells them what he saw. He explains that death is following a pattern, and that it was the teacher's turn. He says they should thank him. He saved 6 people from death. He insists he would never hurt anyone. Back at her home, the teacher is packing her things to leave. She feels uneasy. After boiling water, she changes her mind out of fear and replaces the hot drink with a cold one. At the same time, the police release Alex, who runs to try to save the teacher. But death has other plans. The cold drink cracks the glass cup. She places the cup on her computer, which sparks and smokes. Suddenly, it explodes in her face, and a piece of glass flies into her neck. She starts choking and runs toward the phone. Fire spreads and there's another explosion. She falls to the ground, trying to grab a cloth to stop the bleeding. Instead, she knocks down a knife. Alex enters and tries to save her, but a shelf collapses, a chair tips over, and the knife stabs her. She dies instantly. Alex realizes he touched the knife and left fingerprints. He runs out just before the house explodes, and his friend witnesses the explosion. We go to Clear, who calls the other survivors and tells them they must find Alex to save their lives. They do find him eventually. On the way back, one of them brings up the topic of whose turn is next, but Alex refuses to answer. This creates tension. Then the guy who was driving, Carter, suddenly decides to kill himself, saying he wants to choose how he dies instead of waiting for death to choose for him. He parks on the train tracks, with a train approaching. Everyone exits the car except him. They beg him to get out, but he refuses until the last second. Suddenly, the seatbelt won't open, and the door gets stuck. Alex rescues him at the final moment. The train destroys the car and sends a shard of metal flying nearby. While they're celebrating Carter's survival, the one whose turn it is, Billy, screams that he doesn't want to die. As he's yelling, the metal shard from the car suddenly flies and cuts his head off. They all run before the police arrive. Alex says he's cheated death again, by saving his friend. Alex starts avoiding all coincidences and locks himself up in a small place to protect himself by outsmarting death. He knows it's his turn next. Suddenly, wind blows into the room and starts moving things. But Alex manages to stop everything before it triggers a deadly chain of events. He says he knows how to defeat death. Night falls. Clear is at home, looking at a picture of her and her late father. The police are outside her house watching her. She goes out to talk to them, saying she'll go with them, but they refuse and ask her instead to tell them where Alex is. Alex, now tense, opens the newspaper and reads an article. He realizes it's not his turn to die, it's Clear's. Suddenly, a lightning bolt strikes in front of her house. At that moment, Alex runs to her, but the police chase him. He reaches the boat at her house. The dog is barking at an exposed electric wire that's moving around after being cut. Alex, still being chased by the police, enters the woods and keeps running. Meanwhile, Clear is trying to rescue the dog. A metal rod falls in front of her, but she survives. While escaping, Alex nearly dies after falling and landing in Claire's backyard pool. The electricity is about to reach the water. At that same moment, a tree falls on Alex and traps him underwater, but he survives again. The electricity keeps chasing Claire, threatening major destruction to her house. She manages to escape to her car. While running, a metal rod smashes through the windshield, but she survives. The car catches fire. Events spiral quickly. Alex arrives and tells her not to move. He tries to push the wire away, but the fire reaches the gas. Alex sacrifices himself, the car explodes, and he's thrown in the air. Claire runs to him, and we see his hand is burned. The police arrive just in time. 6 months later, they're in Paris. Alex is explaining how they survived and managed to cheat death. One of their friends thanks them for being alive. Alex goes over how they broke the pattern and beat death. But suddenly, he hears a song that grabs his attention and sees strange events happening that make him nervous. He apologizes and walks away. Suddenly, a car comes out of nowhere and crashes into some power lines. His friend saves him just in time. He says, "I thought you were next," and Alex pauses for a moment and asks, "Then who's next?" A metal sign swings down suddenly and hits him, and the movie ends.